talk about what we've learned from chapter 5 and 6 is understanding the marketplace and consumer value. So first we will look at how we need to understand the customer behavior. Understanding consumer buyer behavior is an essential task of marketing management. We need to learn how and what they buy, how they buy, where and when they buy it, how much they buy it, but more buy. So we need to know what affects their behavior in purchasing. So we try to enter the buyer's black box when analyzing their behavior. The buyer's black box includes their characteristics and decision process, which are affected by many factors like culture, social, personal preferences, and psychological factors. This is the full list of the factors affecting the consumer. We have culture. So growing up in a society, everybody learns basic values, perceptions, wants and behaviors and desires are very much different for each. So marketers are always trying to spot cultural shifts so they can discover new products to satisfy new needs, new desires, and contains smaller subcultures, groups of shared values like life experience and situations that can include nationalities, religions, racial groups, and geographic regions. So we really need to pay attention to the identity of subcultures to satisfy their desire, their different desires, unique desires. And then there are the social classes. We have the social classes. For social class, they are society's relatively permanent and ordered divisions whose members share like very similar values, interests, and behaviors. So usually people in the same social class tend to have similar buying behavior. We will need to look at the social factors. We have groups and social networks. Groups can really influence a person's behaviors and lifestyle in positive or negative way to their behaviors and lifestyle. And there's the social networks, really important. Word of mouth by friends and relatives can affect the person's choice in the market. And it also has an online form in the form of online communities and forums. They affect each other's online. And next, there's the family factor. Family likely has the most impact on the behaviors of the buyers, as these people love close and can influence each other. And then there are the roles and the status. People usually belong to groups, like family groups, organizations, certain companies, certain activities. Their position and their roles, responsibilities are gonna be different and unique. So they're gonna try to choose products appropriate to their roles and that affects their behavior. Then the buyer's decisions can also be influenced by their personal preferences, characteristics such as their occupation, the job, age and stage. Obviously, an old man cannot buy a doll. Then the education, their budget, they will less likely spend on items, and their lifestyle. The lifestyle will dictate what they prefer buying, and their personality and their what is good for them, bad for them. Then there will be also these mental, psychological. There are four major psychological factors. Motivation. What are they buying this for? Are they buying this in the first? And there's their perception on the products or something like that, and then their beliefs and attitudes build their beliefs in like religious beliefs, and then their attitudes towards certain items or towards certain concept in the services.
Now we move on the learning objective number 3, buying decision behavior and the buyer decision process. There are 4 types of buying decision behavior. The first one is complex buying behavior, dissonance reducing buying behavior, habitual buying behavior, and the last one is variety seeking buying behavior. So, complex buying behavior is that consumer buying behavior in situations characterized by high consumer involvement in a purchase and significant perceived brand differences. While dissonant reducing buying behavior is high consumer involvement but few perceived brand differences. And habitual buying behavior is low in consumer involvement and few significant perceived brand differences. And the last one has low consumer involvement but significant perceived brand differences. Now we move to the buyer decision process, need recognition, the first stage of the buyer decision process, in which the consumer recognizes a problem or need. At this stage, the marketer should research consumers to find out what kinds of needs or problems arise, what brought them about, and how they led the consumer to this particular product. Second is information search, the stage of the buyer decision process in which the consumer is motivated to search for more information. Consumers can obtain information from any of several sources, such as personal sources, like family or friends, commercial sources, like advertising, salesperson, or mobile sites, public sources, such as mass media and social media, and experiential sources, like examining and using the product. Evaluation of alternatives, the stage of the buyer decision process in which the consumer uses information to evaluate alternative brands in the choice set. Marketers should study buyers to find out how they actually evaluate brand alternatives. If marketers know what evaluating processes go on, they can take steps to influence the buyer's decisions. Purchase decision, the buyer's decision about which brand to purchase. 2 factors can come between the purchase intention and the purchase decision. The first factor is the attitudes of others, and the second is unexpected situational factors. And the last stage is post-purchase behavior, the stage of the buyer decision process in which consumers take further action after purchase based on their satisfaction or dissatisfaction. There are 2 questions. What determines whether the buyer is satisfied or dissatisfied with a purchase? The answer lies in the relationship between the consumer's expectations and the product's perceived performance. Why is it so important to satisfy the customer? Customer satisfaction is key to building profitable relationships with consumers. Satisfied customers buy the product again, talk favorably to others about the product, and pay less attention to competing brands and advertising. Now we come to learning objective number 4, the buyer decision process for a new product. A new product is a good, service, or idea that is perceived by some potential customers as new. Adoption process is the mental process through which an individual passes from first hearing about an innovation to final adoption. Stage in the adoption process. Consumers go through 5 stages in the process of adopting a new product. Number one, awareness. The consumer becomes aware of the new product but lacks information about it. Next, interest. The consumer seeks information about the new product. Evaluation. The consumer considers whether trying the new product makes sense. Trial. The consumer tries the new product on a small scale to improve his or her estimate of its value. Adoption. The consumer decides to make full and regular use of the new product. Individual differences in innovativeness. There are 5 adopter groups have different values. Innovators are venturesome. They try new ideas at some risk. Early adopters are guided by respect. They are opinion leaders in their communities and adopt new ideas early but carefully. Early mainstream adopters are deliberate. Although they rarely are leaders, they adopt new ideas before the average person. Late mainstream adopters are skeptical. They adopt an innovation only after a majority of people have tried it. Finally, lacking adopters are tradition-bound. They are suspicious of changes and adopt the innovation only when it has become something of a tradition itself. Influence of product characteristic on rate of adoption. 5 characteristics are especially important in influence and innovation's rate of adoption. Relative advantage, the degree to which the innovation appears superior to existing products. Compatibility, the degree to which the innovation fits the values and experiences of potential consumers. Complexity, the degree to which the innovation is difficult to understand or use. Divisibility, the degree to which the innovation may be tried on a limited basis. And the last one, communicability, the degree to which the results of using the innovation can be observed or described to others.
Business markets. The business market is huge. In fact, business markets involve far more dollars and items than do consumer markets. In some ways, business markets are similar to consumer markets. Both involve people who assume buying roles and make purchase decisions to satisfy needs. However, business markets differ in many ways from consumer markets. The main differences are in market structure and demand, the nature of the buying unit, and the types of decisions and decisions process involved. Market structure and demand. The business marketer normally deals with far fewer but far larger buyers than consumer marketer does. Even large business markets, a few buyers often account for most of the purchasing. Further, many business markets have inelastic and more fluctuating demand. The total demand for many business products is not much affected by price changes, especially in the short run. A drop in the price of leather will not cause shoe manufacturers to buy much more leather unless it results in lower shoe prices that, in turn, increase consumer demand for shoes. And the demand for many business goods and services tends to change more and more quickly than does the demand for consumer goods and services. Finally, business demand is derived demand. It ultimately derives from the demand for consumer goods. Nature of buying unit. Compared with consumer purchases, a business purchase usually involves more decisions participants and more professional purchasing effort. Often, business buying is done by trained purchasing agents who spend their working lives learning how to buy better. The more complex the purchase, the more likely it is the several people who participate in the decision-making process. Therefore, companies must have well-trained marketers and salespeople to deal with these well-trained buyers. Types of decisions and the decision process. Business buyers usually face more complex buying decisions than do consumer buyers. Business purchases often involve large sums of money, complex technical and economic considerations, and interactions among people at many levels of the buyer's organizations. The business buying process also tends to be longer and more formalized. Large business purchases usually call for detailed product specifications, written purchase or carefully supplier searches, and formal approval. Finally, in the business buying process, the buyer and seller are often much more dependent on each other. In the short run, sales go to suppliers who meet buyers' immediate product and service needs. In the long run, however, business-to-business marketers keep customers by meeting current needs and by partnering with them to help solve their problems.
Business buyer behavior. This figure shows a model of business buyer behavior. In this model, marketing and other stimuli affect the buying organization and produce certain buyer response. To design good marketing strategies, marketers must understand what happens within the organizations to turn stimuli into purchase response. This suggests for questions about business buyer behavior. What buying decisions do business buyer make? Who participates in the business buying process? What are the major influence on buyers? And how do business buyers make their buying decisions? Now we will talk about major types of buying situations. First of all is straight rebuy. Is buying situations in which the buyer routinely reorders something without any modification. Modified rebuy is buying situations in which the buyer wants to modify product specifications, price, terms, or supplier. New task is the final, which means buying situations in which the buyers purchase a product or service for the first time. Now we will continue with participants in the business buying process. The decision-making unit of a buying organization is called buying center, which means all the individual and units that play a role in the purchase decision-making process. First is user, use the products or service. Influencers have defined specifications and provide information for evaluating alternatives. Buyers have formal authority to select the supplier and arrange terms of purchase. Deciders have formal or informal power to select and approve final supplier. Finally, gatekeepers control the flow of information. This figure is a model of business buyer behavior. Lists various groups of influence on business buyer, including environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual. The business buyer are heavily influenced by factors in the current and expected economic environment, at the level of primary demand, economic outlook, and the cost of money is the first one. The second one, organizational factors, are also important. Each buying organization has its own objective, strategy, structure, system, and products. And a business marketer must understand the factor well. And these are the questions. How many people are involved in the buying decision? Who are they? What are the evaluative criteria? What are the company policies and limits on its buyers? And the third one is the buying center usually include many participants who influence each other. So interpersonal factors also influence the business buying process. It are often very subtle. Whenever possible, business marketers must try to understand these factors and design strategies that take them into account. And then finally, these individual factors are affected by personal characteristics such as age, income, education, professional identification, personal and attitudinal risk. Finally is business buyer's decision process. There are 8 stages of the business buyer decision process. First of all is problem recognition. The first stage is recognition. Problem recognition is in which someone in the company recognizes a problem or need that can be met by acquiring a good or a service. Second one is generalist descriptions, which means this stage in the business buying process in which a buyer describes the general characteristics and the quantity of a needed item. And the stage of the business buying process in which the buying organizations decide on and specify the best technical products characteristic for the needed item is product specification. And the supplier search is the stage of the business buying process in which the buyer tries to find the best vendor. The fifth one is proposal solicitation. This stage of the business buying process in which the buyer invites qualified suppliers to submit proposals. Supplier selection is the stage of the business buying process in which the buyer reviews proposals and selects a supplier or supplier. Other routine specifications is the stage of the business buying process, which the buyer writes the final order with students, suppliers, listing the technical specifications, quantity needs, expected time of delivery, return policies, and warranty. And finally, performance review. This stage of the business buying process, which the buyer assesses the performance of the supplier and decides to continue, modify, or drop the arrangement. Now, we will turn to the next part. Thank you for listening to me.
Engaging business buyers with digital and social marketing. E-procurement or online purchasing comes with lots of benefits for both the company and the customer. First, it saves transaction costs. More efficient purchasing for both buyers and suppliers reduce the time between order and delivery, eliminates paperwork, and it helps the company to keep better track of all purchases. B2B digital and social marketing. B2B digital marketing target individuals who affect buying decisions, not targeting businesses. And in digital marketing, it gives the sellers and buyers more control of and access important information anywhere and anytime. with social media, we have a lot of social media platforms right now, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or even Pinterest. Example we have here is Nike, who do a really decent job in its social media marketing. In specifically here is Instagram. They have a lot of powerful slogans in their posts, and Nike is not just a place to buy sports equipment or sports garments. It is a healthy lifestyle motivated brand. It motivates you to have a healthier lifestyle. And it has a lot of campaigns towards racism or even feminism, like this hashtag Black Lives Matter and hashtag Stop Asian Hate in its bio. And they do collaborations with big names like Cristiano Ronaldo or some very famous footballers in the world to promote their brands. Institutional markets are schools, hospitals, prisons, nursing homes, etc. They have low budgets and captive patrons. In government markets, they purchase products and services for public welfare and public needs, highly specialized and specified with open bidding on negotiated contracts. Thank you.